Welcome back, everybody. This is game number 1. We are playing double jungle Scion. I saw a comment in the last video. It was talking about how we were not climbing with double jungle anymore. That is far from the truth. You need to understand you're watching every single game I've played, and it's not always the optimal pick. We were here in Korea not only to play double jungle, but also to try and climb as high as we could, given the small time frame that we had. You can take that any way you want, but the fact is that we are in Diamond 1 Korea right now, and I'm telling you, double jungle Scion is the optimal pick in this game. With that out of the way, let's focus in on game number 1. I've contested the Lee Sin and stolen some of the smaller raptors. This denies Lee Sin his level 2, and he's used his smite on that camp, which means I can stick around and attempt to mess with him on this red. Whether or not I kill him, I don't really care. My goal is simply to stop him from getting the camp. I only just realized this. Lee Sin at level 1 went to the side of the Raptors wall to soak the experience from the minions in order to get level 2. I have literally never seen anyone do that before. It just goes to show you how smart some of these players are. We're in a situation now where we are so far ahead in this trade. It's going perfectly, and Corki has shown up to help us get the kills, but then he decides to just face tank it all, jumps in the middle of 3 players, gets killed, and I also get punished for it as well. I guess they're not all super smart. We're currently in the process of trying to find the Lee Sin, but Karma's doing a pretty decent job at stopping us from invading. I definitely overstepped my bounds here. I should have started pathing out with the Corki, but instead I went forward for the kill. Big mistake. I do lower the Lee Sin as much as possible before I die, and then he ends up chasing the Corki to the top side. This is stalling everyone's experience. I know this looks absolutely terrible, but that's not entirely the case. Lee Sin isn't farming. He's got 1 camp, just 1. The whole time, Echo has been free farming level 4 versus level 2 Lee Sin. Okay, so if you didn't believe me about this still working even though it looks terrible, look at the Karma's level. She's level 1. She hasn't gone to lane yet, and we're level 3. Echo and I took the entire blue side. Lee Sin still only has 2 camps to his name. If I had just walked out of here right now, I would have been flying high in terms of where I'm at in this game, but we do end up handing another kill over, so this changes things. That last death I considered a critical failure. Comparatively to the Karma, I'm not actually behind, but it does make the most sense for me to swap to the support item and go to the bot lane, because we have an experience lead, and if we go to the bot lane, Karma has to follow. This traps her there and secures our lead. Sadly, the Draven was killed before we got to arrive, but there is opportunity once he dies. Honestly, thank God we got that kill. Our team has 8 deaths already. We definitely needed it. Plus, it allows us to freeze this wave. Look at the Karma's level, level 2. I'm level 4. And given what I can see on the screen, it looks like we have a big lead, so I'm pushing forward to get this fight. That ends up being a pretty solid mistake. The positive is that Draven, he used his ultimate to clean up that level 2 Karma, so he's got his first kill. And boy, oh boy, do you not want to give gold to the Draven, who has a level advantage against the Karma, who is under level. Draven picks up 2 more kills. Honestly, it should have been 2 kills and an assist. If I had pathed to the left, just accepting the fact the tower would kill me, I would have been able to kill him with the passive. Definitely not our cleanest game ever, but that's about to turn around right now. We've snuck into this brush. Jinx wants to push the wave in again. She has no summoner spells, and in comes Draven. At one point in this game, the scoreline was 8 kills for the enemy and only 1 for our team. Now we've equalized it 17-17, and things are going in our favor, not the enemy's. 18 minutes into this game, and our team for the first time has the kill lead. The enemy team was being held up by the Akali during the early laning phase. She would always rotate and punish me every time I tried to do something. You're going to notice a lot now that she's getting picked off first, and once she dies, our team has free roam over anything we want to do to the enemy team. With Akali being down and she's their biggest threat, we also pick up the Smolder. There's nothing stopping us from going to this Baron. That's what our team does, but rather than going and helping them, I stay back and guard the wave. That way we can immediately empower the minions and walk through the base rather than having to wait for the next one. Overall, this game was slightly complicated. There are a couple moments in that early game by the Corki and myself that made it a lot harder than it needed to be. Thankfully, the Draven was competent and he helped us push this lead all the way to the end. That's game number 1 complete. Starting off today, very strong. For the next one, I'm going to assume that if you're watching my content, odds are you enjoy fast-paced strategy, which means odds are you're also going to love the sponsor of today's video, Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus. Tacticus is an exciting turn-based tactical strategy game set in the eternal conflict of the Warhammer universe. With 18 available factions, you're going to be able to find out which one fits your playstyle quite easily. For example, I've been grinding with the Necrons, and with their reanimation protocol and scarabs, I can easily overtake any game within a few turns despite not being at the top of the leaderboard. They are easily the cheesiest faction out there, and I can tell you that even with the newest release, their win condition is still going to be as strong as ever. Tacticus is very noob friendly. It's easy to pick up, but it also has a very high skill ceiling due to the maps and the unique synergies. You can take on challenging campaigns, join guilds to crush co-op raids, or prove your dominance in intense PvP battles. And even if you manage to collect every champion, new faction and events are constantly being pumped out to stir up the meta and keep the game fresh for even the veteran players. With the latest edition of the Blood Angels and the Gene Stealer cult, the competition is fiercer than ever, and with the spring event coming out, who knows which faction is going to join us next. Tacticus is 100% free to download and play. Download and try it out for yourself. Link is in the description and the pinned comment. Make sure to use the code on your screen to get a bonus 2,000 gold and 50 black stones. This is only available until February 1st, so get in quick. Straight into game number 2. I queued up for double jungle once again. Hey, it worked last time. I don't see why it won't this time. Our team invaded the enemy red side, and we see Karma pathing over, which tells us that's where Sejuani's starting because she's going to defend it. The enemy team successfully pushes our jungler out, which is a very bad sign. That means he's going to be behind instead of the enemy jungler. We're in this very awkward position now where we're trying to avoid being revealed. I want them to think that they won and got away with defending their jungle. That way I can take as many camps as possible before the enemy team realizes what has happened. Because in their brain right now, they think, yes, we defended the red side. There's nothing they can do. They have to share their side of the map. But that is definitely not true. We take this full blue side and we wait for the Sejuani to show up. It's always the same reaction from these junglers. Once they see their camps have been taken, they rush towards a risk scuttle, and because it's predictable, I lower their health, allows us to take that scuttle for free, and now we fast forward into the future. We're still taking Sejuani's camps, but I find myself in a little bit of trouble. Let's just say the greed got the better of me. Hey, don't act like you haven't done that before, okay? Very shortly after that mistake, Sejuani is trying to make a play in the mid lane, but we managed to turn it. This is big for getting our tempo back, and it allows me to start invading the enemy jungle once again. I was very relieved to see this Karma die. She is getting on my nerves at this point. She keeps meeting me at every single camp, but in the end, we still got the gold. I always feel bad when I look to the bot lane and see my ADC getting 2v1 and I'm not even within range to help them. But I did the only honorable thing that I could do. I showed up to the bot lane and stole the kill from the Akshan. For the next couple of minutes, it was very objective focus. Our team secured the Voidlings while the enemy, they went for the Drakes. They also closed out the bot lane, and now we enter the very first team fight of this game. Evidently, our contribution to this fight was almost zero, yet we still won. This Akshan is doing complete work. I did end up flanking around and managed to pick up a kill onto the Jhin who had overstayed his welcome. This also allowed us to clean up the tower, which it's a tier 2, so that's worth a lot of gold. That team fight that you just witnessed was a critical point in this game. The reason Sejuani was forcing that team fight is because they really needed the Drake. They have 2 of them, and it is basically their only win condition. Things are looking very grim for the enemy team, so I set up a control ward knowing that we'll be entering that pit as soon as we get a pick, which fortunately didn't take long. This Karma is out of position. We rotate to the Baron and manage to kill it without anybody contesting us. And then as we are going towards the Drake, we notice under the tower a friendly face. Well, not technically friendly, but she sold her items and she's griefing. The enemy team, they surrender. The game, it's over. With game 2 coming to a close, we gained 21 LP. Now we're sitting on 46. Overall, I felt like I was making too many mistakes on Sion, so I decided for the 3rd game that I would swap and play Braum. A very nice safe pick. The truth is, I was on a very limited amount of time left. I had within 30 hours before my flight took off, so I figured the easiest and best choice I had would be to lock up Masters as soon as possible so I can pack up my equipment and leave without the stress of rushing. Isn't it just so funny how I literally just walk up to them as Braum and auto-attack them and they have absolutely no fucking clue what to do? They're like, what is this guy doing? But it's actually all about timing. You need the perfect timing to walk forward. They need to be in a very awkward position, just like we are right now because the enemy jungler came straight to the bot lane to gank us. There goes our lead. At least only one of us died, which is a silver lining factor. I stuck around because they thought I would be going back here. It's important that I try and get as much experience as possible. Backing there, yeah, it's safe, but losing that experience could be the difference between winning this game and losing it. Sometimes, if the support gets high levels, you can easily 1v2, drag your ADC back into the game. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm almost level 4. Overall, we made sure to waste 0 experience. We've just done a massive jump, 4 minutes into the future. Literally nothing happened, I promise. Both lanes just farmed for 4 minutes. We're watching top as we walk back to lane because it is a critical moment in this game. The enemy Viego manages to pick up 2 kills onto top and jungle, and this plays a big role in the future. We've now skipped even further with 15 minutes into this game, and it is the lowest kill count game we've seen this entire trip. I have 1 assist at 15 minutes. Like, I don't know what's going on. Now that we've won the team fight, we feel comfortable contesting this Drake. The enemy team so far has all of them, so if we can deny this, it's likely that they're going to have a very hard time winning later in the game, especially with this Teemo. During this patch, it was very, very strong. All he has to do is AFK farm and chuck the shrooms around the objectives, and Viego's going to have a hard time coming in. We're now skipping into the future. This is the most critical team fight of the game. It's where everything went wrong for the enemy team because they surrendered. I noticed around like Diamond 1 Plus, people give up so quick and they grief very frequently. I mean, it's feeling more and more like OCE every game we play. It's kind of sad. Either way, we gained 20 LP and we jumped straight into game number 4 where I played Braum again. I figured maybe it would be as easy as the last one. It starts off with us being cheesed, not once, but twice within 1 minute. I don't know what the fuck we were doing, but I flashed forward with full aggression. And let me tell you what, straight off the bat, I am in love with this Jhin. That flash forward is so aggressive yet so critical. He completely matched my aggression. So I already know going forward in this match, I can rely on the Jhin being a competent player. Despite this, there wasn't too much we could do. We were getting camped in the bot lane. A lot of attention was coming towards us, which didn't scare me that much. Knowing the ADC is good means eventually we're going to come back anyway. Someone's going to make a mistake and we're going to capitalize on it. It's just a waiting game. It's about being patient, not getting tilted, and making the best of what you have. Whilst there was a lot of action happening in the bot lane, something that was occurring on the map, because all that attention was down here, our Corki was just running over his opponent. This guy was getting kill after kill and becoming a real threat without anyone even noticing. From what I can see, both of these ADCs are playing to a very high standard. They're both really good, but there's a big gap in the enemy mid lane. Our Corki is running amok on the enemy Jace, and we're pushing on that weakness over and over in order to try and claw a lead over the enemy team. We're about to fast forward 12 minutes into the future. All I want you to focus on is the towers. Even though the scoreline stayed somewhat similar, our team managed to take a significant amount of the enemy team's towers, which in turn gave us a lot of gold that we're using in this team fight right now. Even though we get taken out, they've used a lot of summoner spells to achieve that. And then I witnessed one of the smartest plays I've seen so far. Watch this Teemo hiding behind the enemy team. He waits for the perfect moment. They overcommit on the Jhin, and then he pushes forward on the flank, and instead of hard engaging, he just starts throwing down shrooms and stalling them out long enough for Corki to teleport in. Now the enemy team is in an awkward spot. They're getting collapsed on, outnumbered, and eventually get picked off, leading into us taking the Baron and pushing down the mid lane. We've got this amazing combo where the Jhin can just preemptively open fire, and his ultimate is strong enough to kill the enemy team. They're forced to run away, and we can isolate this Aatrox and pick him off. Once Aatrox is down, that's their second strongest member, we can walk through their base, systematically taking out every single objective until we make our way to the Nexus. That's another game in the banks. We're on a massive win spree. We've been playing for a very long time now, 11 hours, but we're only one game away from reaching Masters, so we're not stopping now. This is it. Let's close out Korea with a 10 win spree into Masters. Let's go. The trade we took here was extremely good until I missed that Q. It was critical. As soon as it misses, Rel gets the permission to just all in engage, and there's nothing I can do about it. I should have just flashed forward and auto-attacked him to burn his flash, but instead, I took the skill shot, missed it, and we got punished. Our ADC dies, we lose tempo, and I do manage to escape, but it cost me my summoner spells. Rather than going back to base to heal, I once again stick around and soak the experience from the minions, and then I can set the wave up in a manner that allows our ADC to start farming and potentially come back. You see me do this all the time. It's because it's very effective. A couple minutes later, the Rel manages to get a clean engage onto both Varus and myself. Neither of us have flash. We just use it to escape a gank earlier, so we end up dying and handing 2 kills over to the enemy bot lane. The score is looking pretty grim. Most of our lanes, including the jungles, are losing. The only lane that was doing somewhat decent is our Zoe. That's why the enemy jungler and support tried to shut her down, but we are there to counter it. Another exchange happens in the bot lane. I end up dying to the Lee Sin kick, but Varus picks up the kill, which is critical to coming back. He's also very clearly a decent player. Sadly, we were just unable to save the Varus. I can tell that he's quite a good player, so if we had that gold on the Varus, it would have made a big difference. We fast forward into the future here because it's kind of irrelevant showing the game. I don't know if you noticed this, but the Udyr was getting absolutely smacked this whole game. He's come to the bot lane and is refusing to help. I don't speak Korean, but I can only imagine what he's saying. For the rest of this game, Mr. Udyr refused to help our team. Even though the scoreline was looking somewhat grim, we had a decent comp to deal with the enemy. We had decent players. There was no reason we couldn't come back, which we actually did. Even 4v5, we pulled the scoreline within striking range of taking the lead. Udyr still refused to help us. He kept splitting, he kept AFKing, he did typical Moni solo queue rubbish. He couldn't put his ego aside, which means we couldn't win ELO. Of course, of all games this to happen on, it is right now when we are just one game away from getting Master, when we only have just over 24 hours before our flight takes off. I'm now in a position where I'm stressing, but I've been up for too long that I can't keep playing, so this was the final game of the night. We finished today at 66 LP Diamond 1. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out the sponsor of this video, Warhammer Tacticus. The download link is in the description, or use the QR code on your screen.
Y'all ain't on this level, bitches, Tilterella.